everyone, it's Stephanie and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to bring you my May wrap-up. So in the month of May, I read 26 books and a lot of pages, which I haven't calculated because I'm not prepared. But let's just jump in. So the first book I read was The Dragon Reborn by Robert Jordan. This is the third book in the Wheel of Time series. I read this with Angela from Literature Science Alliance, and she is an excellent buddy reading partner. If you ever want one, she definitely kept me on track, and it was so nice to be able to geek out about the characters and kind of do theories about what we think is going to happen, and it was a really good time. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I won't go into the synopsis because spoilers, but I will have a spoiler-filled book review coming soon. But overall, this is my favorite of the series so far, and I think that's because Rand was not present for a good chunk of this book. He's not my favorite character. I think he's really bland and whiny right now, even though I know it's for a reason. But I really loved getting to see all the other characters like Matt and my boy Perrin and so much of the Aes Sedai and Aiel and everybody. It's been awesome. The next book I read is This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Motar and Max Gladstone. This was a novella that I read for the BookTube SFF Awards, so I won't go too much into it because I do have a more thorough wrap-up for that I'll link. But I gave it 2 stars. I've seen a lot of people really love it, and I've seen a lot of people like myself who didn't get it. I feel like I missed something. It just wasn't my favorite, and at times it just felt overwritten. Next, I read Tunnel of Bones by Victoria Schwab. This is the second book in the Cassidy Blake series, and this one is set in Paris. And again, I won't go too much into this because I covered this in my BookTube SFF middle grade wrap-up, but I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. I did enjoy the first book, City of Ghosts, better because I think it was a little more creepy and I liked the story a little bit more, but this was a really fun, enjoyable read. Next, I read Ghost Squad. It's my work phone. Next, I read Ghost Squad by Claribel Ortega, and I went into this in my May releases video. I swear not every book I read on here is going to be referenced to another video, but I really love this. It's a fun, magical, whimsical middle grade book, and I love the culture in here. Its own voices, and the author is Dominican, and we get to see a lot of that in her writing and in the story and the characters. And I gave this one 4 stars. I highly recommend it. Next, I read Anne of Wendy Poplars by L.M. Montgomery, and I read that as part of the Anne-along. And we just continue following Anne. Well, come on. Yeah. We've been geese watching. There have been a lot of geese in my neighborhood by my window. So it's been a great week, huh? Yeah. Anyway, so Anne of Wendy Poplars. It wasn't my favorite. I think it's my least favorite in the series so far. It was kind of boring, to be honest. I still really liked Anne as a character, but there were a lot of letters and The characters introduced in this book weren't that great. They were kind of flat. So I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars, but I'm definitely going to continue on with the series. Next, I read Dead Voices by Catherine Arden. This was part of the middle grade category for the BookTube SFF Awards, and it's the second book in the Small Spaces series. I think that's what the name of the series is. But I loved it. I liked it a lot more than the first book, Small Spaces, and I thought it was just the right amount of creepy and magic and fun. I'm looking forward to reading the next one, but I gave that one 4 out of 5 stars. I listened to it on audio, and the audiobook was really good. Next, I read Clappany Land by Elizabeth Acevedo, and this is a YA novel in verse. I covered the... Lucy, you were going to knock over everything on my desk. Stop. I covered this in my May releases video, so I won't go too much into detail, but like I said, it's a novel in verse, and it follows 2 perspectives, and it opens up with the girls finding out that a family member has tragically died in a plane crash, and the story progresses from there. Elizabeth Acevedo narrates the audiobook, so I highly recommend that. She's such a good audiobook narrator, and her voice is gorgeous. And even though this one wasn't my favorite of her books, I still gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was phenomenal. Next, I read Gods of Jade and Shadow by Sylvia Moreno-Garcia, and I loved this book so much. Again, it was for the BookTube SFF Awards, and I do have a full book review on this, but it basically follows Mexican and Mayan mythology, and it has Mayan death gods, and it's set in 1920s jazz era Mexico, and it was such a beautifully written book. I love the story, I love the characters, and I really loved the character arcs that the author wrote for the characters. They really grew and learned from each other, and I really appreciated that. I was lucky enough to get an arc for Mexican Gothic, which comes out on June 30th, and after reading this, I started reading that as soon as I was approved for it, because I loved her writing so much. So definitely check this one out. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I read The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Haro, and Lucy, it's like having a toddler. I do have a book review for this. I apparently was really on point with my book reviews. I really loved the magic and the world building and the writing in this book. You can tell that the author wrote this for readers and that the author is a reader, and I just enjoyed it so much. I flew through it in probably 2 days, and once again I read this for the BookTube SFF Awards, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Once Upon an Eid, Stories of Hope and Joy by 15 Muslim Voices, and this was edited by S.K. Ali and Aisha Saeed. This just has 15 stories centered around Eid, and they're so wonderful and happy and joyful that I'm just recommending it to everyone. It's very educational, but at the same time it's so entertaining, and this book made me so happy the entire time I read it. I think it's geared toward middle grade, but as an adult, I really enjoyed it. I just recommend it to everyone, and the cover is just so happy with the community, and I think that just really embodies so many of the stories in here, and this was just so well done. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Next, I read The Wicked King by Holly Black. This is the second book in the Folk of the Air trilogy. The Cruel Prince is the first book, and it follows this girl, Jude, whose parents are murdered by her half-sister's father, and then he basically takes her and her sisters and they go live in Fae, and she just wants to be a part of this world, and we follow her journey as she becomes someone of importance in this world. I've read The Cruel Prince twice. The first time, I was kind of on the fence about it. I gave it 3 stars. The second time, I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. But this book, I started it a few months ago, and I got really bored, so I quit reading it. I got about 100 pages in. And then I picked it up again because it was one of the nominees for the BookTube SFF Awards. And I didn't really like it. I thought most of it was kind of boring, even though I really do like political intrigue and stuff like that in books. The way this was written was boring to me. And maybe it was part of the hype because everybody was saying that this book was better than The Cruel Prince. And I hated the ending. Like, I wanted to throw my book across the room. I think I did throw it across the room. I hated the way it ended, and I'm not going to read the next book. I'm just not. And I'm sorry if this is your favorite series. If you enjoy it, that's great. It made me angry, and I can't do anymore. Next, I read Assaulted Caramel by Amanda Flower. This was a book for the Cozy Mystery Book Club, and it's the first book in the Amish Candy Shop Mystery Series. I adored it. This was my first Amish-themed cozy, and I'm surprised that I loved it as much as I did. But Amanda Flower has a really good writing style. I love the mystery. I love the characters. I loved getting to see the town. And it was such a good time. We had such a good discussion. And I loved it so much that I read more of those books this month. One of the stars of this book was this support pig named Jethro. He's one of those miniature pigs, and he is my favorite character. And he is just so stinking cute. So I gave that book 5 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Sugar and Iced by Jen McKinley. This is the 6th book in the Cupcake Bakery Mystery Series. It follows 2 girls who own, Mel and Angie, who own a cupcake bakery shop, and they are making cupcakes for this beauty pageant, and a murder happens. They get involved, per usual. But I really enjoyed it, and I loved how in this book we explored more of the romantic relationships and personal lives of the characters in the book, and we got a little bit deeper. So I really enjoyed that, and I think she did a good balance of focusing on that and focusing on the mystery and then kind of marrying them together at the end. So I gave that one 4 out of 5 stars. And next, I read Apple Cider Slang by Julie Lindsay. She also writes under Bree Baker, but this is set... Oh my god, I have cat hair everywhere. This is set at an orchard. It's the first book in the Cider Shop Mystery Series. I really enjoyed this. It's set in West Virginia, and Winnie is trying to help her grandmother save her struggling business. A murder happens. She gets involved because it directly affects the shop, and things go from there. I really enjoyed the setting in this book. The characters were really well written. I listened to this mostly on audio, and the audiobook was really good, and I gave it 4 out of 4 stars. and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I read No Good Tea Goes Unpunished by Bree Baker, aka Julianne Lindsay. This is the second book in the Seaside Cafe Mystery series, and we follow tea shop owner Everly in the city of Charm, North Carolina. I really like this series. I love that it's set by the beach, and it's just really fun and refreshing, and I love the characters, and I love Everly as a main character. She's just so normal and realistic and relatable, and I listened to a good chunk of this on audio, and the audiobook was really good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Killer Chardonnay by Kate Lansing, and that was actually an ARC that I got from NetGalley, so thank you to them. But I did do a full review for that I'll link, but I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I am definitely looking forward to continuing on with the series. Next, I read Lethal Licorice by Amanda Flower. This is the second book in the Amish Candy Shop Mystery series. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars, and this cute little pig here is Jethro, and I love him with my whole heart. He's such a little troublemaker, and I keep referring to him as a bacon bundle, and it's so cute. Next, I read Premeditated Peppermint, the third book in the Amish Candy Shop Mystery series. I gave that one 5 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Criminally Coco, which was 3.5 in that series. It was a novella. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Next was Toxic Toffee, which was book 4. I gave that one 4 out of 5 stars. Next was Botched Butterscotch, which was 4.5. It was a novella. I gave that 3 out of 5 stars. I also read Have a Deadly New Year by Lynn Cahoon. This was the novella for the Farm to Fork Mystery series. It was book 3.5. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Claws of Justice by Emmy Lynn. This was a book for the Cozy Escape book club. I really didn't like it. I was excited because it's set in Maine, but it was really disjointed and felt really cheesy and not super well written. I feel like if she had had an editor that had given her time maybe to do a couple more drafts, it might have been a lot better, but it just didn't mesh with me, and I just didn't really like it, so I gave it 1 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Nightshade for Morning. This is the second book in the Enchanted Garden Mystery series by Bailey Cottrell, and I loved this. I love the cover. It's just very cozy, and it makes me so happy. But this follows the story of Ellie, and she owns a store, Sense and Nonsense, where she does a lot of essential oils, and she makes her own lotions and things like that. In this particular story, a journalist who is going to write a feature on her store is found dead. She gets involved, but I listened to the audiobook of this. It was really good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Pulp Friction by Julianne Lindsay. This is the second book in the Cider Shop Mystery series. This was so cute. It's set at a time where they booked a wedding to happen at the orchard. Things go wrong, somebody gets murdered, and things go into full chaos mode, but I really enjoyed it, and I listened to part of this on audio. The audiobook was really good, and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Hello. Anyway, that was my May wrap up. Overall, I'm happy with what I read, and it was a good mix, so I'm happy with that. But what did you guys read in May? And if you stuck around this long, leave me a heart emoji of your choice to let me know you're here. And as always, if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.